This is part 2 of the time tutorial. So moving forward, let's go into our front view and we're going to select everything, A on the keyboard. And if you go Object, Show, and you click Hide or H on the keyboard, just to show you where that's at. So let's play with the pocket watch position to get the body now centered. It looks about right. Okay. So we're going to start with creating the hands for the pocket watch. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift A. And we're going to use Curve, Bezier. I'm going to increase the radius so we can see it. Hit Tab to go into Edit mode. And I can just start moving these points around, just like what we did before. Something like that. Probably, oops. Bring this one up. Set this one out. Hit E on the keyboard. Maybe have it come in. Hit E. Come out again. Hit E. And go all the way up. So I'm going to set this value to 0 on the x-axis. It's probably a little too tall. And start playing with my shape. So definitely don't like the shape that's going on. Let's hit V, see if we can smooth these out. V, V, set them all to automatic. All right. So we'll bring this one in. Maybe something like that. All right, so that's the outer shape. Again, we're going to mirror the other side, so I'm not worried about the other side right now. I do want to set Shift A, create another Bezier. Now I'm still in edit mode, so it automatically adds this Bezier to my edit or my object. So I'm going to set this value to 0 for the X position. Oops, wrong one. Maybe something like that. Select this one. Hit E. Let's move it on up. Say about there. And hit E again. Put this one at the top. Make sure it's set to the X value of 0. I'm going to go ahead. Whoops, I just moved my 3D cursor because I right-clicked. That's a big thing not to do in this program. Let's see here. Let's reset. V on the keyboard and automatic. Pull this in. V, automatic, that's better. Actually, I'll pull this out a little bit. Something like that. Okay, so let's go to object mode. We want to mirror this. There's a couple ways to mirror it. First, we need to duplicate it, so Shift D and then right click so it sits in the exact same spot. Now you can go to object and use the mirror mode, or you can just go over to your rotate and rotate it 180 degrees. For this particular situation, that's fine. Now we want to combine the two, so I'm going to select both. And again, under object mode, join, Control J. Now they're one object. Now I definitely want to go into edit mode. The big thing is that these vertices that are down the center are not actually connected, so I'm going to have to connect them. So let's start with the top vertice. So I'm going to hit A to deselect all, B to drag select over this top vertice. So there's 2 selected right now. And I'm going to hit F, and that connects them. But there's 2 vertices here, and I don't need 2. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect A, select it once, and hit X on the keyboard, delete vertex. So that leaves me with just 1. I'm going to convert it, V, to a vector. And there you have it. So repeat the process, A to deselect, B to drag select, F to fill, deselect, select, X to delete, and then select the vertice again, set the amount to vector. Okay, so let's grab this one down here, repeating, select, let me make sure I had nothing else selected, F, select X, vertex, select V, vector. Now I'm going to pull this vector out because I don't want it so sharp at the base. Now, of course, I can copy the position of this handle to the position of this handle to be perfect, but I'm not worried about it. So I'm going to select these two down here, F and V. Let's turn it into vector. There we go. Looking good. So now I'm going to go into object mode. I'm going to come over here to the settings and switch it to 2D this time. You'll notice that it automatically creates some geometry. And let's increase the extrude to create the handle. And of course, since it's still in edit mode, I can still play with it and modify it to change it any which way I want. So that's looking good. Come out of edit mode. I am going to add a little bit of bevel, I think. Let's see what it does. Sometimes I have to convert it to an editable mesh and then add the bevel, because this bevel doesn't do a good job sometimes, but let's just test it. Let's increase the bevel a little bit. And that's giving me a nice edge. I don't see any issues with the geometry. All right, we're looking good. I think I'm going to be good and set with that. So let's go back to the top viewport. That's my minute hand, and we're good with that. So I'm going to go ahead and hide it, H on the keyboard, and let's start the hour hand. So again, same direction, Shift A, Shift A, mesh, curve object, Bezier, and go into edit mode and repeat the process. So this time, make it something a little bit different. So maybe, because if I zoom out, it looks like it's got some crazy handpiece. So you go E on the keyboard, bring this down, E, bring it up, E, and then the last one will be probably right around here, and I'll set that to 0, and I'm going to just hit V and say automatic. I'm going to do that to a bunch of these actually. V, automatic. Oops, looks like I hit the wrong one. B, V, auto. Huh? Why? There we go. For some reason it was fighting me. There's probably too many points in here, so let's hit X, delete. Grab this one, pull it out. So it's just repeating the process of making something that's interesting. And let me go E, because I'm actually going to create the other half. I'm not going to mirror this. So let's put this somewhere right about here and fold it. This one I'm going to go vector, actually free. Maybe something like that. And let's change this to free so I can pull it in. E in the keyboard. Maybe something to do there. E. Change this to automatic. E. change this one to a vector, or a free, I should say. And E. Put that down here, level it out, and of course if I want to match the X position, let me just copy this information with, paste it into this one without the negative. There we go. Something like that. Now this is probably way too different. I don't know. Let me switch this one to automatic. Let's straighten these out. Yeah, it's probably going to be really interesting, but that's okay. It's, I guess, better to be different. All right. So again, let me finish this by selecting these last two, hit fill, and I'm going to change these last two to vector. And I can play with these tangent points still if I need to. Probably bring in these points a little bit actually. Okay. And let's go ahead and extrude it. Go to 2D mode. Add the extrude. I'm going to unhide the other one, just so I can get an idea of how much I extruded it. In fact, let's select it. It's extruded at 0.097. 0.097, so they both share the same thickness. And the first one has a bevel of 0.03. 0.03. Okay, so there's our other hand. And of course I can spend more time making it look nice, but I need to move on with this tutorial. So I'm going to go Alt-H to unhide all, and I'm going to select, this was the, wow, I need to start renaming some of my stuff. I haven't named stuff in here, so let's start going through. Let's hit Z so we can see what we're selecting. A to deselect all. So this is going to be my hand minute. Okay, and then this one is going to be renamed as my hand. Actually, that was my hand hour, so this is minute. Rename hand hour. Sorry about that. This one is the minute. Let me just get rid of all that extra stuff. What is this? Okay, I'm going to rename this to neck. And what is this? I'm going to go handle. And crossbar. Dial. And dial neck. Sometimes I use underscores, sometimes I don't. It's best to use underscores, to be honest, because you don't know what software package really requires it. If you ever have to export this to another software package, it's definitely best not to have spaces in your names. All right, let's go ahead and select the handles now, both of them. Sorry, the hands. There we go. I'm going to hit Z, and I'm going to move them to where they're not stuck behind the faceplate. So maybe something like that right there. I'll have to adjust it later too. All right, that's looking good. If I want to be able to see these with them deselected, just come down and turn on wireframe with them. So now when I select something else, they will be visible. So there's my minute and hour hand. Let me just rotate the minute hand so it's slightly off. Let's create the ticks now. So I'm going to go ahead and select everything. A on the keyboard, hide. And I'm going to hit Shift A, mesh, actually curve, circle. Now your circle probably came in really, really small. I was messing with this earlier. So anyway, you want to scale it up to be about there. That's where I'm going to set my minute ticks to. So let's go ahead and hit Shift A again. We're going to create a box, a cube. All right, so we're going to link the box to the path, and it's not combining or joining it, it's linking it. So I'm going to select the box, select the path, and so it's a child to parent relationship, and this is the direction we want to create it. Shortcut key is Control P on the keyboard, and we're going to do object, but just to show you where that's at, again, if you don't remember your shortcut keys, if you go object, parent, there's lots of options, but we're doing the object parent right here. So Control P and object. Okay, so now you see this dotted line in between the two. The box is now linked to the path. If I move the path around, the box will follow it. That's how a linking works. If I move the box by itself, the path won't follow the box. So right now, if I hit A on the keyboard, select the box, you can see here that the box won't follow it. But if I select the path, the box follows the path. So let's select the box. Now I want to reset this guy's center point to be along the path. Okay. To do that, again, object, and it's clear. I'm going to find the word clear right here, clear. And we want to clear the origin. So Alt-O on the keyboard, Alt-O, and now the box is along the path. All right, so to duplicate this guy, we're going to go to the Properties panel for this object, and we're going to go to Duplication tab. We're going to click Frames, and we're going to turn off Speed. So the start and end point dictates when it starts and ends. I'm going to set that back to 100. And now to dictate how many are cloned across this object and which direction they're facing, we're going to go and hit Z so we can select the path. And hit Z again. And now we're going to go to the path or the curve properties. And we're going to set path animation here to 60. There we go. And we can also say follow. You can see here that's what it did, following the path. All right, so let's click on the box again and hit Tab to modify this box. I'm going to hit Scale. Let me rotate the view. So S on the keyboard for scale, and I'm going to scale on the Z-axis first to squash it, and scale on the X-axis to thin them out, and scale on the Y-axis to make them taller. Okay, it's looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit 7 on the keyboard and come out of edit mode, tab. So that's the tickers. Now I want to create, or for the minutes, now let's create the one for the hours on the inside. So same thing, very simple, Shift A, curve, circle, decrease the radius to where you want the minute to hit. Let's say probably right around in here. And so that's the radius. We're going to go Shift A again, mesh, cube, select the path, Control P, parent the object, Alt-O to set the object to the path. Again, these are all in here. So Control P is the parent and Control O is the clear to set the origin. And we're going to go to the Properties menu. I'm going to deselect all, select the box. Now this only works if you select the box. If you try to do it with both selected, it wouldn't have worked. So I'm going to go to Frames and uncheck Speed, hit Z so I can see the path. And now I'm going to set the path to, where's my animation? Active, oh, right here, sorry. So follow and minutes, what is it? Hours. It's 12 hours and a clock. Boom. So let's click on the box again and go into edit mode, Z for scale, S for scale, scale on the Z-axis, flatten it out, S for scale, make them a little bit thinner, and S for Y. There we go. Voila. So let's take a look at, I'm going to go out of edit mode, tab. These objects are up here. So this one is, let's hide and unhide it. Okay, this one is going to be my minute, rename, or sorry, hour. hour ticks. And this one is going to be my min ticks. In fact, actually I'm going to call it ticks underscore min, and I'll call the other one that says hour, I'll rename this one to ticks underscore hour. That way they're sitting right next to each other. So let's go ahead and unhide all. Alt-H on the keyboard and select the minute and the hour ticks. Actually, right now everything's selected, so now let's just select these two, holding down Shift and clicking on both, and drag this up to where it's coming through the geometry. I don't want it too thick, maybe something like that. Okay, and now I can actually play with positioning of my hands a little bit better. So I'm going to select them both and pull them up, because I don't want them running into the ticks, something like that. And I'm actually going to take the hour hand and raise it up even more to be above the minute hand. Voila. Okay, so that's that structure. Let's go into, might as well set my, if I open this up, I can go to cube and turn on wireframe if I wanted to, so I can see them. And do the same thing to the other, select cube, wire. So now when I select something else, I can see them. All right, looking good, looking good. So let's get the numbers in here. Let's work with Blender's text file. So I'm going to go back to the top view. In fact, actually, let's save this first. File, save. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start hiding some things. Hide this. I want to keep the ticks. Okay. So I'm going to start with a normal 12 o'clock run, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to set the top value to 12, of course. So, sorry, Shift A in the keyboard, go to text, and let's increase the radius. All right, so there's my first text object. To edit the text, meaning to change it from text to something else, I'm going to hit Tab, backspace, and type in 12. And tab again. So there is my 12. Now go over to my properties for my text. There's a lot of options. First off, I'm going to go to align and set it to center. And I can play with the spacing of the letters and everything. Now the font to play with is here. Right now there's only one font built in, so let's go ahead and find some more fonts. I'm going to click this folder here. Now I don't have an automatic path set for my fonts in my properties, so I got to go find them. If you're on a Windows, it's going to be your C drive, Windows, and fonts. And I think on a Mac, it's your primary drive, like your image drive, libraries, and then fonts, if I remember correctly. So this is where all my fonts are at. I'm going to go ahead and just choose something simple over here. Probably, let's say this. Double click. You can see it changed my font type. And of course, I can come in here and change back to the other one if I don't like it. I can even go and add another one. So anyway, so I like the one I chose. Let's increase the scale of it. It's too small. Something like that. All right, so there's my 12. Let's see here. If I go to my perspective view, you can see, or my user view, sorry. I need to increase the extrude, give it some depth. That's looking better. And let's go ahead and add some bevel. Give it a nice little edge. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pull it forward, kind of match it up to the rest of these. Something like that. All right, so there's my 12. So from here on out, I just need to duplicate this 12. So I'm going to go back to my front viewport, make it easy. So Shift B, move here, go into tab mode, backspace, and this is just 1, so come back out of tab, 1. Okay, Shift D, move it, tab, backspace 2, tab. So that's how you set your numbers up, and you're just going to move and position them. Now I'm only moving on the X and Y position, so that way they maintain their Z position in the depth. Okay, so it's a good idea to do this in your top view, and you're going to keep them go all the way around. Now I'm going to go ahead and stop here, do that for you, and then come back, because you don't need to see me repeat this another like 9 times. Okay, I'm back. I copied them all the way around. Now you notice that they're too big. Made them way too big. So instead of individually trying to scale each one of these down, I can hit S on the keyboard and scale. But right now it's going to scale from the center axis. So let's again change the scale mode to individual origins and hit scale and scale them down. So probably something like that. Now I can reposition these guys to be where I need them. Oops. Something like that. There. There. And this one's pretty much good. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Nothing complicated about it. I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift Alt H to unhide all, and all my objects are in there. Let me go ahead and select all these guys by holding down Shift and clicking through them. In fact, actually, sorry, let me deselect first, then start holding down Shift and selecting these guys. Okay, Properties menu, Wire. Oh, it looks like it only did it to the one. Oh, that's a bummer. So you can go through and set wire. If you don't want to accidentally move something when you're selecting it, just activate this mode. If that's all you're doing is selecting, that makes it much easier to go through and select objects without messing up your geometry. Okay. I think that's pretty much... Oh no, we need to create the center rotational piece, the ball piece that's going to cover this right here. Of course, I can add more. I can match the reference image with the little clock down here by creating that, and so on and so forth. But I think I'm happy with this design for this particular tutorial. So let me create the centerpiece here. I'm going to just go Shift A on the keyboard, making sure I'm in object mode. Mesh, and we're going to do a cylinder. And increase the radius. Probably do about there. That looks good. And I'm going to go tab into edit mode. Z for solid mode. In fact, actually, let me come out of edit mode and switch back to my move. And move it up. Something like that. Okay, and I'm going to now go into edit mode, play with this for a sec. So A to deselect all, face mode. I'm going to inset this a little bit, and then I'm going to actually scale it out. Something like that. I'm going to extrude it. E in the keyboard, remember our shortcut keys. I'm going to turn this mode off. Okay, now I'm going to inset again, make this a little more fancy. See about there. Extrude E. Oops, not R. See E. Something like that. Inset. Extrude. Inset. Extrude. Inset. So I'm just going through inset and extruding this guy to create a little bit more geometry and look to this. Probably should have jumped up the segment count. Let me turn this to smooth shading. It's not too horrible, but yeah, I definitely should have jumped up the vertex count. Oh well. Let's see here. So let's play with the shading mode. I don't like how it's trying to force a bubble look between more than one edge. So I'm going to go into polygon mode. I'll loop select this, hold down shift, loop select that, and then shift and click this guy, and just W on the keyboard, flat. I'm going to do the same thing to these guys in here. Flat. There we go. So now if I go tab, that cleans that up. Let's go ahead and go to let's go Shift H. That hides everything but the selected object. Go over here, tab, loop select, shift click this guy, H on the keyboard, sorry, W, flat. There we go, much better. Let's go Alt H to done hide all, A, and there we have it. Turn on wire. There is our external clock setup. So before we start, oops, just bumped the mic. Before we start going through and breaking this object up, I'm going to stop here for now. And the next tutorial we're going to go into is creating the guts, the gears. And I'm going to talk about where to focus on the gears and bring in another reference image and all that. So join me for, I believe, part 3 of this time tutorial.